Hey everybody, it's Party Elite, and today I want to take a look at some more upcoming games that I'm particularly excited for. When I released my last video of anticipated games a few weeks ago, many of you rightfully pointed out the seeming lack of city builders, city being a loose use of the word here. It really does feel like that genre doesn't get enough attention, and I say that as somebody who loves a good city builder. Truth is, there are actually a lot to look forward to, and I thought I'd give them a shout today. I'll have Humble Bundle links included in the description down below where applicable if you'd like to pre-order any of these while supporting charity and the channel. So with all that said, here are 10 great city building games to look forward to in the next 12 months. Hard Ancient Life should be right around the corner with a Q4 2018 release date set on Steam, but the developers have been a little frighteningly quiet lately. With the hope that all is well, or maybe a delay is in the books, the game is seriously instigating some nostalgia for those old Sea-era city builders, specifically Pharaoh and Cleopatra. Set during the birth of Old Egypt right up to the death of Cleopatra VII in 30 BCE, we see a very large expanse of time being covered with one of the most glorious ancient empires of the world. Apart from standard city building mechanics ensuring that the residents of your city are happy, watered, fed, and entertained, we also see the implementation of diplomacy, politics, faith, trade, war, and monuments, of course. Diplomacy and politics will make an interesting addition if it's more than just a mission delivery system, integrating relations with other cities and the pharaoh as important decisions that might lead to war, broken trade partnerships, or prosperity. Religion is a natural inclusion in this time period and place, bringing with it the need for festivities and other methods of pleasing the gods. Trade seems to be implemented in an interesting way, taking into account the value of goods based on geopolitics, supply, and demand, like in the real world, and supposedly, as far as warring is concerned, will be involved in both attacking and defending cities. How that plays out, we don't yet know. I suspect the game won't suddenly turn into Company of Heroes or StarCraft, though. Simulating separate classes of society as people with different behaviors, wants, and needs is also an interesting inclusion and a very real consideration for the time periods being covered here, and it should add a unique element that many modern city builders don't really deal with. Time will tell how this game is coming along. They've only been quiet for about 2 months, but this close to what should be a release date, that becomes a little concerning. I hope it all works out, and I'm not just in denial. Releasing on the 1st of March 2019, Dawn of Man is the first of 2 Neolithic-era games on this list. This particular one takes us from the Stone Age to the Iron Age, having us build up the cities of a tribe that goes from the first days of domestication and farming till, well, the Iron Age. Hunting will, naturally, play a key part, as will gathering. We were, after all, a hunter-gatherer society at the start of this game's timeline. From there, collecting meat, fruit, water, flint, wood, and more natural resources, we move on to actually settling down. Seasons sound like they're going to be a key feature, and seasonal behavior of flora and fauna actually matter. Abundance of fish in spring will call for springtime fishing, while summer and fall harvests might be plentiful for some resources, helping you prepare for harsh, barren winters. Conflict is labeled as inevitable, requiring you to build fortifications and weapons, and technological advancements play a key role as it should in these timeframes. The game is looking fantastic, especially seeing some of the screenshots posted on the developer's Twitter feed, and I'm very excited to try the game out. After all, the game's developers have a solid pedigree when it comes to city builders. Madruga Works were the developers behind Planet Base, and time will tell, but I sincerely hope this game rocks. I need to stop with the puns. Ancient Cities, currently aiming for an early 2019 launch, is a Kickstarter and Indiegogo project that I backed earlier this year and have been excited for ever since. Labeling itself as a survival and city-building game, Ancient Cities is also set during the Neolithic Revolution, a very interesting time in human history when we transitioned from hunter-gatherer societies into agricultural societies. Personally fascinated by this time period, I'm very excited to see how the developers translate the unique challenges and decisions of the time into gameplay mechanics. They seem to be quite the researchers as well, if their Twitter feed is to be believed, and that has me all the more excited to see a city builder set in this time period. The early pre-alpha footage is looking quite beautiful, and a lot of the implemented features look to place man at odds with nature. World events, migration, technology, wants, needs, aspirations, and faith all make appearances, and it seems like raiding and attacking and defending against other tribes will be a thing to concern ourselves with as well. The developers have heavily implied that there will be plenty of post-launch support if all goes well, and from everything I've seen so far, I wish them the best of luck in their development. It is looking very, very enticing. Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic is another one aiming for a Q1 2019 launch, and it has some very intriguing economy mechanics going on, simulating supply and demand along a manufacturing chain alongside local and global market forces in order to determine the value of what you're producing, what you're importing and exporting, and how well you're doing. All of this on any given day, with market fluctuations potentially influencing your approach to building this city. The game is visually not so impressive, but that's because everything we've seen is in very early development. However, what it seems to lack in polygon counts and texture resolution right now, it seems to make up for with complexity. The game is currently in early access and seems to be promising based on the feature set that has been listed on the Steam page. Like most city builders, you're managing everything in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, ensuring buildings don't burn down, making sure everything is powered, watered, fed, and entertained. But perhaps most important of all, you're ensuring that the manufacturing and economic machine keeps turning the sweat off your people's brow into cold, hard cash.
Mother 9, I'm dropping in.
Copy that. Slab C-43 is all yours. Welcome to Titan.
Industries of Titan, simply marked for release in 2019, is a very intriguing looking game that continues to deliver surprises as far as features are concerned. Set in the far future on Saturn's moon, Titan, the game has us developing cities into metropolises, all while concerning ourselves with the core elements of a good city builder: production lines, economic efficiency, human needs, and tactical battleship combat. In this voxel graphic cyberpunkish future, we're seeing some very curious gameplay elements. We haven't actually seen city building gameplay yet, though we have been shown in-game graphics and we've been shown how combat works. It feels very FTL inspired, which is definitely a good thing. More intriguing to me is that we've been shown how we're able to build our own ships using blueprints and modules to make something custom and then send it off to fight and hopefully win. It's quite possible that this kind of customization mechanics will be brought into the city building systems, considering the Steam page says that we set up production lines inside our factories. The features also discuss technology and political influence. The first of these mechanics is a nice progression system for a city builder, but the latter could be really interesting to see if it's integrated as some dystopian, corrupt system rather than something that just hands out simple missions. The trailers thus far have certainly got that dystopian feel to them. Things look dirty and dingy, and we see what is called unsanctioned combat come under scrutiny until authorization is given. There's mention of traffic jams in one of the trailers we've seen, and we've seen entire cities hide themselves under the surface to reveal a special weapon. Honestly, there's very little to go on, and that seems to be working as a marketing technique to get me very excited for this Blade Runner city builder.
Paris is just a dream.
The architect, Paris, nearly flew under my radar until I came across it recently and was immediately intrigued by its bold motto: stop playing, start building. Then I was even more intrigued when I learned the premise. The architect Paris is a truly unique approach to the genre, focusing on one pre-existing city and dividing it into districts as separate levels, at least from the sounds of the trailer and what developer blogs have been put out so far. The city is already built. You don't start from scratch, instead going from district to district, solving problems by evolving the city. Think of it like Houseman's renovation of Paris, except you're Houseman. Apart from macro-level changes to energy and food shortages and problems of that scale, you'll also be able to zoom in on a micro-level and customize each of the 150,000 buildings, in some cases including some of the iconic structures of the city, using the drawing board tool that you can see on screen right now. Still in pre-development stages, but very much working. There is a suggestion that people might not like your changes and might take a stand against you if push comes to shove, and that kind of threat of looming disaster is always a nice addition, a nice extra layer to games in the genre. This is truly an interesting concept for a city builder, forcing you to work with some constraints that modern city planners need to. The fact that they have to build on top of what already exists.
Food production, power creation, and waste management. However, sometimes you will lose control.
I will say one thing though, I'm a big fan of the architectural style of the Houseman buildings, and the romantic in me is on the side of some rather unsustainable city building bylaws that prevent things like this from happening in Paris. So, that pre-existing love for the city's architecture will present a challenge of its own that I look forward to overcoming. Anno 1800 was briefly mentioned in my earlier video, but this is truly where this game belongs. Releasing on the 26th of February 2019, Anno 1800 sees this 20-year-old series return to its historical roots after a few games set in the near and far future. Anno 1800 takes us to the 1800s, the Industrial Revolution, and all of the pros and cons that came with it. We see the New World being a potential new setting and resource, and we see choose-your-own-adventure-style expeditions for risks and rewards. We see characters with unique traits for unique benefits, and we see a brand new blueprint mode that lets you lay out custom attractions like museums and zoos where you can see your riches on display. But at its core, Anno 1800 is a city builder and economy simulator like few others, managing everything from production lines to trade routes to tourism, traffic, workers, and overall citizen happiness. This is a time of great growth and change, and it looks like Anno 1800 is striving to represent it as well as possible in a video game, including the implementation of new resources unique to the New World, including the concept of luxury exotic goods. Naturally, this era is not just about building cities, but also destroying them as one competes for more land and resources. War is very much a part of the game, though it will take place only on the waters, keeping the land for building and the seas for fighting. This might evolve in the future with DLC or post-release support, but for now the team is focusing its efforts on making naval warfare match the scale of complexity that the city building aspects have as well. A gorgeous game set in a gorgeous time period that is also very crucial to our history. It's great to see Anno go back to its historical roots. Set simply to release sometime in early 2019, Flotsam from Pajama Llama Games is probably the most chuckling I've had while watching a city building game trailer. As far as unique concepts go, this one takes the cake, billing itself as a survival town builder, putting you in charge of a post-apocalyptic ocean world where you build a city atop the ocean. Your city is a vehicle, literally a massive ship that can move around using its sails to try and get to more bountiful areas. Being on the ocean means its own set of obstacles, like giant whales deciding to breach, and most likely worse things waiting in the depths below. Other concerns include desalinating water, coming across dangerous rock formations, finding food without scaring it off, and even just finding basic construction materials in the form of garbage. There's also an element of commentary, we can call it. There will sometimes be animals in need of rescuing from past human mishaps, and if you rescue them, they'll support you, and you can take care of them by feeding them and breeding them, basically domesticating them like we once did to land animals. Again, the sheer uniqueness of the game makes me want to follow it. Unique setting, very different art style, unique mechanics, and a unique supply chain to consider as well. Very interesting concept. The Settlers is back, or at least it will be fall of 2019. About 9 years after the release of the last real entry into the series, not counting HD remakes, compilations, online and mobile releases, we see the revival of a series that started back in 1993. These games, as far as memory serves, have always been great for those interested in complex systems coming together, mimicking real-world supply chains, as well as some of the more traditional aspects of strategy games. It looks like this latest edition follows the same school of thought, being more a game about planning, observing, adjusting, and managing than about actions per minute. We don't know many details about the single-player campaign, only that the settlers' original continent is abandoned due to some cataclysm, and now they arrive on ships onto uncharted territory, coming across a mysterious indigenous people. Multiplayer will be included, and we're already hearing about some new mechanics, such as the training of champions for use in land-winning tournaments. Its beautifully executed, light-hearted art style belies the true complexities that hide within. I'm personally a fan of the beautiful, vibrant look and personality. At least it will look fantastic when I inevitably miscalculate something and have a famine on my hands, bringing my town to a standstill. We're not sure when Ymir will release, but it's in early access now, and it was way too intriguing not to include on this list. Made by one very humble individual, the game has city building as one key element of a 4X multiplayer strategy game where you lead a civilization of pigmen starting at the Stone Age. If you're not immediately sold on that premise, we'll dive a little deeper. So the game is divided into two viewpoints, a macro world map and a more micro regional map. While the world map is where multiple players will stake their claims on the world, discussing alliances, setting trade routes, dealing with general statecraft, and each of these claimed regions are where the players have to manage complex socioeconomic simulations, including diplomacy, trade, economics, battle tactics, and more. A simulation-driven population means that there's no direct control over the economy or the pig people participating in it, only responding to the evolving supply and demand situation. There is a class system, and player-consumed resources are also tied to this global market. This massive-scale simulation means that every player actually has the ability to destabilize entire economies by influencing the global supply of a product, driving values up and down, potentially triggering wars between very real people playing at the same time, resulting in maybe trade embargoes and more real-world behaviors in a pig world. Battles themselves are actual real-time battles taking place anywhere around the world, including potentially in your cities, and they can include multiple parties, as many players as want to be involved with whatever allegiances they might have. And they can bring reinforcements from the cities they built as well. It all sounds absolutely fantastic, and this game is right up my alley. And if you're concerned about being tied down to this massively multiplayer approach to the game, fear not. There is a more classic mode to be played alone or with just a few friends over multiple sessions, compared to the more massively multiplayer style where the server runs 24/7 and things take longer to happen to balance the fact that some people need to sleep. It's looking great too, vibrant, colorful, and the right kind of pseudo-retro. I'm totally on board. I hope you guys enjoyed this list of city builders that are somewhere right around the corner. I'm sure to have missed some, so please let me know down below any city builders that you're looking forward to, and I can take a look at them as well. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more strategy gaming content, including videos such as this, reviews, previews, and Let's Plays. A massive thanks to my patrons who help keep this channel alive and running smoothly with their gracious monthly support, and a big thanks to you for watching. Till next time, cheers.
Full charge, sir.